It's Tuesday, and you know what that means. A new episode of No Filter. Now today, my guest is a CFDA award-winning fashion designer and a legend of American style. I've known him my whole career. This year he's celebrating his 40th anniversary. And I'm so proud to say I'm the only model who's ever worked with him in every single decade. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one and the only Michael Kors.
Hello, baby. Oh my God, I'm great. All the better for seeing you.
Oh, bless you.
All the better for seeing you.
So, Michael, today was your show.
I know. So crazy.
40 years.
40 years. I mean, I still feel like a kid. Aren't we
That's
still
incredible.
kids? We're kids. But at 40 years, it's really, I mean, I'm normally not one to look back. You know, I'm always, because, you know, in fashion, we're always going to the next.
Mm-hmm.
Always the next, always the next. But, you know, 40, it's just, it's
something
really,
to be very proud of.
I am. And, you know, because I think that fashion by nature, it's about change.
Absolutely.
So to really still stay juiced, still say, you know,
Still stay true.
true to you, exactly.
They asked me 3 words to describe you. And I said, loyal, consistent, and transparent.
I love that. Thank
That's
you.
what I used to describe
I
you.
like that. I like that. Oh, those 3. But that's like when people say, if you could only pick one thing in the whole collection, what would you pick?
Yeah.
And it's just when you have to like get succinct, it's not easy.
Yeah, it's true. So I'm trying to remember, when was the first time we worked together?
The first show was spring of 1988.
Whoa! I was
88.
18!
1988.
My goodness!
You were, well, back then that was legal.
Yes, I was
18
legal.
was legal.
I was legal.
She was fully legal. And I remember that show. I think all of you guys had your hair in sort of like a twist in the back, like a French twist.
Mm-hmm.
The skirts were about this big.
I remember.
Little stretchy skirts. And then, you know what we had in that show that you wore? We had this little sort of catsuit, stretch catsuit, short. And I remember at the time, people were like, do you think women are actually going to wear that on the street?
Yes.
And of course, now it's like, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Why were you questioning it? Yeah, I mean, spring 88. I mean, but it feels like to me, it feels like yesterday, but then a zillion years ago.
Yeah.
It's this weird sort
Spring
of balance.
88. Your memory's really, don't play with Michael's memory, okay?
Yours is not shabby either, let's be honest.
Well, I have to say this because Michael told me this, that I am the only model today that was in your show that has worked with you throughout each decade.
You are. You are
I'm
it.
very honored.
You are
Very
it.
honored.
When we went through everything, getting ready for this 40th anniversary show, I looked and I said, oh my God, Naomi has been a part of my world for every decade that I've been designing.
So honored.
It's like, it's incredible. I mean,
So
it's really
thank
incredible. Anyway, yes, don't get me teary.
So, what was the mood you wanted to invoke in the show this morning?
I think we've gotten to the point now where we're so much more appreciative of people who we miss, people who we get to see, places that we love, and things that we don't do anymore, like going to a big party or going to the theater and just stepping out.
Yeah.
You know, really stepping out. So I wanted this to be the celebration of making everything in life an occasion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if you're going out, look great doing it.
Yeah, I'm here on that.
Go to the office again.
Look great doing it.
Look great doing it, and feel polished.
Is it like when I said a couple years ago, you have to dress when you go to the airport.
Exactly.
Not wear those Crocs. Oh, Michael,
That's
those
so sad.
Crocs.
It's so
We
sad.
always dress,
Oh,
don't we?
listen, I tell people all the time, I'll look at them and I'll say, you don't know how the girls used to come in for a fitting You were
Do tell,
always
Michael, do
dressed.
tell, do
She
tell.
was dressed. She was impeccable. She was down to the detail. There was no such thing as coming in a tracksuit. And if there was a tracksuit, there was fabulous jewelry and there was an amazing handbag.
Yes.
And I mean, and it was...
I like Carlene's style.
Yes, it was a look. It was a real look. And I think that people, you know, want to go out and feel good about themselves.
Absolutely.
So that's what the show's all about.
That's what it felt like. It's been such a fun day. It's just so fun to be in the Sherbet Theatre. I mean, this theatre, which we're still in, is just like, it's such a landmark theatre. What's the show they have here? To Kill a Mockingbird.
Kill a Mockingbird in this theater. It's crazy. We saw it with Jeff Daniels. He was unbelievable. And then we had tickets to come back with Ed Harris. And then, of course, the theater locked down.
Oh, yeah.
All these people who work in the theater, not just the actors, the stage-hands,
yeah.
the
The
lighting
scene
people,
ushers.
the ushers, all of these people. You know, that's the other thing. We want to celebrate them, you know, and hopefully raise some money for the Actors Fund.
Well, you are really, which I was going to get to that later on, but since we're talking about it now, I might as well. Supporting New York, putting New York back out there, that it's coming back and it's picking everything up and getting back on its feet. But and also, you just always celebrated New York, always. You know, with what you do, with God's We Deliver.
I mean, look, I always tell people, one of the things that's the trick in life, if you're lucky, you discover when you're young something that you're good at, that you love, and then is the magic treat first to do that and then to succeed doing what you love in the city that you love. So I feel so unbelievably fortunate, and this city is constant inspiration for me. And it always has, no matter how much I travel. I love traveling. I mean, listen, I'd go to London for a matinee.
Yeah.
Great. I'm happy. But the mix of people here and what the city's given me, I feel it's my duty, to sort of to give back and celebrate New York.
That's what you do. You do it so impeccably well. Now, you're the model's favorite designer. You love models.
This is true.
You do. You
This
always
is very
have.
true.
And
I do.
I think
I
about
do.
how you were with us back in the day. You know, as you came to each one of us, you made sure our hair and everything was, very personal touch.
I don't understand. You know the worst thing? I hate when people say, "Oh, she's a great mannequin." Like a mannequin?
Huh?
What?
What?
I mean, like a mannequin. You mean like
A
in a
mannequin.
shop window?
Mannequin,
It's like it's dead in a shop window. So to me, what I love is the individual. I love the personality. I love that when you put something on, it feels different than when someone else wears it. And I want to know who I'm dressing.
Exactly.
I mean, when girls come in, still to this day, I start chatting. If I haven't met them, I'm like, where are you from? How long have you been doing this?
I come back to you now.
Yeah, I mean, all of that, Naomi,
No,
because
but we want to know.
I want to know. It's so, and I love all the personalities.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Now, we always say no filter. We're going to start from the beginning. So, where were you born and where did you grow up?
I grew up in the suburbs of New York, hence the accent, and about a half an hour outside of the city. A town called Merrick, little suburban town. Very close to the beach, though. So I'm still sort of beach obsessive.
We know that.
So with the beach and the city, so kind of a good spot.
And what was it like growing up for you? Brothers and sisters?
Only child. Only child. Very young mom. My mother modeled. And when I was really small, I was a child model. And I did TV commercials.
Wow, so we have that in common.
Yes, exactly.
We were working since we were kids.
I was 5.
Yeah.
I was 5 and 6. And then she retired me because I didn't want to go to school.
So mom retired.
Mom said, no, that's it. But it was just me, my mom, and a family of really fashion-obsessed women.
Oh, wow. So it was from the
I was
get-go.
surrounded.
Okay.
My grandmother, my mom, all of my aunts. I mean, and the men. I mean, my grandfather was in the textile business.
Oh, so it's deep rooted.
So this is like the dinner conversation was, ivory this season is stronger than white, or that red was good, but what about burgundy? I mean, they really loved it. They talked about it. And I think also maybe if you're with adults who love it and you're a child, they forget that you're a child.
Yes.
So you're just the adult along for the ride.
You're listening,
you're
there,
listening,
you're in
and
it.
you sort of get the whole thing.
Wonderful. I had no idea. Oh, I love this. Now, I also understand your real name is
Carl.
And what do you say about not wanting to use it?
Well, there was only one Carl. So my mother, of course, I did not do this. My mother did this. My mom got remarried when I was 5, turning 6. I was born Carl, and I was a junior. And my mother sort of thought, well, why am I going to have this sort of name sticking around forever of someone who I divorced very quickly?
Of the junior,
So my mother was like, that's the past. And she said, you're going to have a new last name. It's going to be Kors. And do you want a new first name? And I said, sure, great. And
I
she
love
said,
that.
I mean, Naomi.
You got to choose
I
your
got
name?
to choose. No, she wanted an M. She said, I want an M. And I said, okay. And I think there was a minute of, it would have been Marc, but now, of course, there's one Marc.
Yeah.
There was one Carl, and then I went with Michael, so it all worked.
It worked out
It
perfect.
all worked perfectly, all good.
But let me all tell you, Michael's talking about his fabulous mother, which I've had the pleasure of meeting over the decades since I've known
Many,
him.
many, many times.
And she always would come backstage and hang out with us. Do you remember that?
Oh.
Fabulous lady, she is.
I have to tell you, I think...
And always so proud of you, but she stood on her own.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh, no, my mom has her own sort of presence and strength, but then so supportive. And I have to say that, like, being at a show for her, I think it brought back her memories, of her modeling days, the energy of it, the excitement of it. And, it's funny, I remember once we had a show where everything in the show was really, really super short. And the show was over, and I said, what'd you think? And she wears trousers most of the time. And she said, I loved it. And I said, really? I said, but you wouldn't wear most of that. She said, I wouldn't, but I wanted to. And I thought that was a really cool thing to say. She said, I wanted to wear all of it.
Which is what it's meant to make you feel.
That's how you have to feel.
Exactly. Since you were surrounded by fashion, when did you think, okay, this is what I want to do?
I had this sort of, I don't know, when I was probably 12 or 13, there was a little bit of the, I love the theater. Maybe I should take acting lessons. So I took acting lessons for about a year. I'm a terrible dancer. Of course, I'm sitting here with you. So the opposite of you.
I would have thought you were a great dancer, actually.
Terrible dancer. And in my mind, I think I'm a good singer, but I'm not.
Don't believe you.
And not so great. This is what's so crazy. I would come in from the suburbs, go to my acting class on a Saturday in Greenwich Village, and I'd look around, and my mom would give me money to come into the city and have lunch and then go home.
Yeah.
And I would skip lunch for a few weeks, and what would I do? I'd go shopping.
Shopping.
And I realized that fashion was it. It was just something that I loved.
Any particular shops you used to go to?
Oh my gosh, back then. I mean, I remember as a teenager, of course, Fiorucci was it. Fiorucci was everything.
Those
and then,
two little angels.
And Henry Bendel. I mean, just that brown and white striped bag. I mean, even if it was a pencil case.
Yeah, that's
it could
what
be anything.
I know
couldn't
that from
afford.
the makeup bags.
Yeah, you have the makeup bags. Everything in that store just knocked me out.
Very chic shop.
Yeah, I loved it.
It was like when models would come over and bring that for Henry Bendels to London, we'd be like, what is that? Because it was,
you could only buy it here.
Only buy it in New York
Only buy it in
City.
New York, absolutely.
What's the best advice you feel when you were starting that you got from family or a friend that made you say, okay, I'm going for it?
Interesting story. I was designing for a little boutique on 57th Street, right off 5th Avenue, across from Bergdorf's. It was Lothars, yeah, exactly. So I'm in the store, and we had people from everywhere coming shopping. It was pretty amazing. You know, I'm 19 years old, and we have Goldie Hawn, and we have Diana Ross, and everyone's in the shop. I mean, it's, you know, it's quite an education when you're 19.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was like, wow. But at the time, I thought, I have to go to work for another designer. You know, I'll sort of learn the craft slowly.
Yeah.
And then eventually I'll do my own thing. And there was a designer at the time, American designer, a fabulous woman named Adri. And she used to come in the shop. And I said to her, I said, I think I have an opportunity. There's an opening at Halston. And I said, I love what he does. And I think it would be a great place for me to learn. And she said, don't take the job.
Don't take the job.
And I said, what are you telling me not to take the job? I said, it's Halston. She said, I can tell looking at what you design. She looked at me and she said, you know what's right for you as a designer, and you know who you're designing for. She said, if you go to work for him, every time you are out on your own, people are going to say, oh, it looks like Halston. She said, so be a little patient. She said, be a little patient. She said, just, and I said to her, I said, but it's a really great opportunity. And she said, no, just wait. She said, and when it's the right moment, do your own thing. And I waited. I didn't wait that long. Of course, I was very impatient. But I think it was really great advice.
That was sound advice.
I mean, you know, because I was just...
Because it would be like, yes, we're just going to Halston. Everyone would
Yeah, exactly, yeah, of course. I mean, all my friends were like, no, go to Halston.
So how did you find it like going and then launching into your own design?
I knew nothing. I truly knew nothing. I had people sewing in my living room, my little tiny one-bedroom apartment in Chelsea. I had rolling racks in my bedroom. I slept under the rolling racks.
So just like you really would imagine it, like...
I mean, really, no money, no nothing. I didn't have a showroom. I would go, you know, I remember I took the clothes to Bergdorf Goodman, went by Subway, showed them to them, and they were all excited. I didn't even know that you were supposed to call editors. I didn't know. I mean, I had no idea. I didn't know about any of the specifics.
The so-called strategy of whatever there is to do. Yeah.
I had no strategy. And honestly, Bergdorf's has been sort of the Michael Kors flagship for 40 years. 40 years. It's amazing.
You've been loyal to them.
I've been loyal to them. They've been loyal to me. And, you know, the first thing that was ever written about me was written by Anna. Yeah. Anna Wintour was working, she was the fashion editor at New York Magazine.
I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah. She was at New York Magazine, and I got a phone call, and she said, I heard great things. I'd love to see the clothes. And I said to her, well, I'd love to show them to you. And she said, where's your showroom? And I said, I don't have a showroom, I have a bedroom.
At home.
I said, it's my house. And I went by Subway, and I took the clothes up to see her in her office.
I love these type of stories.
And it was,
love.
It was an amazing moment.
My God, I mean, Michael, your story is like dream come true. Because, you know, there's a lot of people right now, as we speak, that are doing their things from their homes because that's how they you know, that's where they are just because of the pandemic. That's how they're working.
Absolutely.
Young creatives. And you give inspiration, you give hope. They listen to you, they see it's possible.
Absolutely. I think the thing that now in retrospect, I think the thing that everyone, when you're young, your nature is to be impatient. You know, you want it fast. I wanted fast. And the one thing that I did now in retrospect, I realized was really smart. I didn't have a fashion show for 3 years.
Did you not?
Not in the very beginning. Because I remember thinking, I've got to work the kinks out of this thing.
Right.
I've got to make sure I know how to actually produce these clothes.
Right. So you're smart to think that because normally some people just do the show.
They do the show and then they don't know what to
do.
How do we make these clothes?
So it's like, that was smart. You did it the other way around.
I did it the other way around.
Smart. Very
so
smart.
I waited. And I think that was a smart move.
Absolutely.
In the beginning.
Your shows backstage was so much fun. I mean, Linda Christie, Cindy, Gail, Yasmin, Kevin O'Coin, who else?
All of it.
It was you could have called it a party, but we were at work, but it didn't feel like work. It was so much fun. So we used to do the show on 24th Street.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a particular show where something happened. Michael's going to tell it.
Well,
And
we're here to tell the story.
we're here to tell the story. Michael's going to set it straight.
We're here to tell the story. I talk about, you have no money, but you're doing what you love.
Yeah.
We were in this very raw loft on 24th Street. It was
long, I remember.
Long, narrow space. And
we used to share shoes.
Oh, yes. Oh, share shoes. I think I had 5 pairs of shoes with all of you trading shoes backstage. Yes, 5 pairs. It was really hot. It was bloody hot. And I used to play really pounding dance music.
Yes.
And the song that was playing was 1, 2, 3, shake your body down. 1, 2, 3, shake your body down.
Take it on down.
You got it. She knows. And the music was going. The bass was heavy. We had just started. And I think we were like, look 6.
It was early.
Very early in the show. And all of a sudden, there was this just loud explosion. You screamed, someone's been shot. You were like, someone's been shot. And I kept thinking to myself, please, Naomi, do not say that. And one of the girls came running off the catwalk and she said, the ceiling just caved in and it's hit Susie Menkes, the sort of most esteemed fashion journalist.
Herald Tribune at the time.
Herald Tribune at the time. And it hit Susie right, and she always wore her hair in a bit of a quiff, and it hit her right on the quiff.
Infamous hairdo, yeah.
On the infamous hairdo. And then the plaster went into another journalist, Carrie Donovan from the New York Times, went all over her handbag. And I remember thinking, oh my God. And I went out. I calmed all of you guys down first.
I'm making people hysterical.
Because you made everyone hysterical.
I know.
And I calmed all of you down. And then I went out and I said to the audience, is everyone okay? I said, does anyone need medical attention? And everyone said, no, we're staying. I couldn't believe that everyone stayed. We turned the music, I remember, way down. I was so nervous that the ceiling would keep falling down.
But also, too, we're in America. It's like, people will sue for that shit.
Lawsuits.
So it's like, oh my God.
Naomi, I was just, and I kept thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be put out of business. I'm going to have this crazy lawsuit. But no one left. And I remember
I just know I did want to show my outfit, though.
Oh, well, back then you probably had 6.
I probably did, but I wanted to show them all.
You wanted to show them all. Every girl had 5 or 6. If you were in my fave, you were like 5 or 6 looks. And I remember thinking, fashion people are really tough.
Yeah.
Tough. No one left. Everyone stayed. We swept up the floor. No one sued me.
Kept moving.
No one sued me, and we just kept moving. And the following season was the first season there were tents in New York for the shows. Because everyone said Michael Kors almost killed the front row.
That's what happened.
That's what happened, of course. Everyone said, this is silly. We've got to do something, more professional.
Because I think we had tents in England before America had tents.
We didn't have tents.
London Fashion Week had
London
tents.
had the tents.
Yeah,
Paris had tents.
Yeah, that's true. In the Louvre.
Milan, it used to be in the Fiera.
Yes, correct.
And then in New York, we were... we wanted to discuss that.
Oh my goodness. Let's talk about when Michael Kors went to Paris and took over another fashion house. And that fashion house was called Celine.
Yes.
How was that? What made you decide you wanted to try that?
I think when I started, I thought that American fashion was for America. And I thought really the only thing that seemed global at the time was French fashion. Mm-hmm. The big French houses were global, but everything else seemed more local. The British designers,
was Celine under the big conglomerate of LVMH?
They were, yes. Celine was LVMH, and I remember thinking, I want to find out how the rest of the world really works. How does this operate? And I never thought as an American designer that I'd be in Paris. So when the opportunity came my way, I said, well, this is going to be the greatest learning curve I could possibly have. and I was there for 6.5 years. So it was a long time.
It's a long time.
It was a long time, and it was like global university. Instead of just talking about LA or Chicago, you're talking about what's going on in Jakarta, what's happening, in Kyoto, or what's happening in, Dubai.
You feel a bit more connected.
Connected to the world.
Yes.
Connected to the world. So it was an amazing experience. And it's crazy now in retrospect. Marc Jacobs got to Vuitton the same season as I did at Celine. And I think everyone thought, oh, these Americans are coming. And then Narcissa was doing Loewe. So all the Americans were all in like jeans and t-shirts and sneakers.
It's so true.
And we all came at the same time. And I think it was right after all the English designers.
You pushed out the Brits. No.
The Brits were there. And then it was kind of like the Japanese. First the Japanese in Paris, then the Belgians, then the Brits, then the Americans. And then you finally got to this point, which is so great, that fashion we're global.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You want it all mixed, and that's how it should be.
It's how it should be. It's
So
how it really should be.
It's what it has to be.
Now remember, you gave us all these beautiful bags at Celine that had our names on it. What happened? How comes we got such a luxurious gift?
I remember we had all of these custom bags that you all carried. So I have got, Naomi, Giselle, Carmen, they're all lined up. And I remember after the show, all of you were like, I love my bag. And I was like, well, of course, take it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So I gave away every bag in the show. And I remember that I think the PR people at Celine, they were like, where are all the handbags? And I said, what are you going to do with them? They have their names on them. So I think we remade it.
I mean, but any of that's so true.
We remade it all.
I want to say, hearing about you taking this Project Runway deal and being on TV, and about seeing you made so much sense. You were so good on that. You really were.
Thanks.
It was, and I've only done a little bit of reality TV, but what was so great about you is that because you really are that. They are talking to someone who's got the decades behind them, the profession, they know how they've been through it from top to bottom, sideways. So you're giving them real information. Because sometimes you see they're not giving the real information because they're not really, they're dabbled in it. You are real. So what was television like? Because you seem very comfortable.
I didn't want to do
yourself.
it. I didn't want to do it at first.
But often that's the case. The ones who don't want to do it are the best ones.
I didn't want to do it because I kept thinking, we all know fashion people are pretty entertaining.
Because fashion, by the way, is not meant to work on TV.
But I was just going to say, there's this thing that fashion doesn't work on television, and I was scared that it was going to turn something that I love into a joke. I didn't want it to be a joke.
Understood.
And I remember one of the producers said to me, you work with students at the schools, don't you? And I said, sure. I said, Parsons, FIT, sure, absolutely. And she looked at me and she said, we're kind of going to do that, but it's going to be television. And she said, just be honest. And she said, and you're coming from a place of experience. And, once we started it rolling, I mean, listen, I certainly did not mince words.
But you shouldn't.
Well, if you're going to be a designer, you're going to have to face it.
Thank you very much.
You must face it. Not everyone's going to always...
Hear.
Right?
They say that I'm really mean when I do these type of things. I'm like, no, I'm not. This is authentically me. This is what you have to deal with and 10 times worse.
You're going to experience a lot worse.
Thank you.
When you wake up the morning after a fashion show and, it could be 10 newspapers and 10 websites tell you that, they thought it was awful.
But also, you also know, Michael, how to have fun. Don't take yourself seriously. You have fun with it. You have humor.
Always.
You can take a joke. You can give a joke. And that you make yourself you are relatability. That's the word. And I feel that that's also part of it.
Absolutely. But that's the funny thing. All these years later, Naomi, I mean, when I go on the street, people, women just talk to me like they know me.
Yeah. Because you have become a household.
And you're kind of part of the family.
whether it's your clothes, your bags, you know, your initials on the clothes, and I want to ask you that too. What was it like your gold watch?
Everyone.
Whoa.
Everyone.
Your gold watch.
Everyone.
Everyone around the world and back.
Every
What was
age.
that like? And it just happened like boom.
Fast, quick. The thing that amazed me, once again, I go back to this sort of, when I used to say, well, you know, international London, you know, or international Canada. And suddenly I'd see this everywhere because you know what happened? The internet changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone got their information quick. And when they fell in love with something, the accessibility was immediate and global.
Mm-hmm.
So very exciting and nothing I ever imagined. I didn't imagine that. We didn't have the internet.
I mean, the industry has really changed.
Oh, it's a totally different industry. When I started, you know, truly we thought Toronto was international.
It's true.
Canada, wow, far away.
Now, you said some names that came into the shop when you were starting out and others. Who have you dressed celebrity-wise that you just, or what experience, a great experience that you've had? I remember seeing Zendaya walk with you at the Met Ball. Stunning.
Amazing.
Stunning. And who has been your favorite, you can't say favorite, but one of the personalities that you've just adored?
Well, it's interesting you bring Zendaya up. She's fearless.
Yeah.
She's fully fearless. She understands the power of fashion,
Mm-hmm.
of transformation.
Yeah.
So, of course, that is...
And she was, that was evident.
And so inspiring to dress someone who is this sort of, I don't know, a great interpreter of changing her hair, changing the beauty look, changing, you know, I mean, if you said to her, what won't you wear? She'll say, I'll wear anything. It's just the right mood.
Mm-hmm.
It's people who know themselves. You know, Mrs. Obama consistently, when I think about the fact that she navigated the public eye in just a way that no one has done. You know, in her first official portrait, she wore Michael Kors. I had no idea that she was wearing it.
Is that because from the house in Chicago she would get it?
She ordered the dress. I was at the theater in London.
Wow.
And it was interval, and my phone was off. I turned the phone on. I had like 900 texts, emails, messages. Congratulations. I'm like, on what? And then I look, and I said, oh, wow. Wow. And what I loved when I saw the picture, it was an athletic cut-in armhole, sleeveless jersey.
Oh, I remember that.
Really streamlined dress. And, you know, before that picture, every American first lady, they wore sort of a colorful suit, you know, with like a bad brooch. And it was very sort of...
It's what the idea of what they thought you had to look like.
And she
did not.
She did not, and she reinvented what it meant.
Mm.
And, you know, so, I mean, that's always inspiring to me. Listen, Naomi, when I think about the women who I've met and dressed, it is the greatest thing about being a designer. I mean, to run the gamut. I mean, listen, we put the same dress on Lil' Kim and Sigourney Weaver. I mean, please. You know what I mean?
love that.
And both of them were like, oh my God, she looks fabulous.
Love that.
I mean, they both look totally their own way.
Now, you told me once about a phone call you have. And who was on the other line inquiring about a dress? Please.
Aretha Franklin called.
Queen!
The Queen is on the phone. I didn't believe it was her because I didn't know her at the time. And we were finishing our show music. And we had just listened to Say a Little Prayer, Aretha's version, of course.
And she's on the phone.
She's on the phone. And I held the phone. I was just, is this really you? And she said, yeah, it's me. And I said, we're going to probably close the show with Say a Little Prayer. She said, well, obviously you are now. She was like, I'm on the phone. And she saw a picture of something and she said, I have to have this. You know, that's the magic I think the greatest thing for me, people say after all these years, what are the two best things about being a designer? Number one, the people, the exposure to meeting, just not everyone famous, but just
the reach.
The variety is unbelievable, and the travel.
So now, Michael Kors, how did you feel when your company went public?
Oh my God. I have to say, standing there and ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange, it was a little otherworldly. It's nothing that I ever thought would happen. And my mom was there. She was just beaming. And at the time, we were the largest IPO in American fashion history.
Yes, you were.
And it knocked me out. And
so, jump to my next question. When your name was worth $1 billion, how did you feel?
I felt the same. Here's the crazy thing. I hope, the same as when I met you.
Exactly the same.
I mean, I don't really perceive of myself differently.
No, you are exactly the same person I met in 1988.
It's hard for, how did you feel?
Yeah.
Proud, yes. Certainly proud. Excited to see the reach.
Yeah.
The reach is exciting. Because I think when I started, we were dealing with such a sort of specific group of women.
Yeah,
and then to see it broaden out there, and to walk through airports and to walk into the streets. Andre told me, you'll love this, Andre Leontelli told me that there's a Michael Kors store in the mall not far from his house.
Yeah.
And the first year that it was open, he said, I was in the mall. And he said, and there were stanchions with people waiting in line to go into the shop. And he said, how does that make you feel? And I said to him, I said, it's beyond my wildest dreams. Beyond my wildest dreams. Although I have to tell you that when I was in school, when I was a kid, I used to, all day long, I would just, in my notebooks, when I was supposed to be working, I'd be sketching or doing little doodles or something.
Oh, so what age was that?
14, 15. And I used to doodle the MK repeated over and over and over.
So you were very clear about
so
the
I was
MK.
like, okay, I think this looks really great. It's graphic.
Because that's what I was going to go to. When you see the MK, I mean, all ages.
Everyone.
13, 14. My cousin's like, Auntie, bring us back. We want an MK. I'm like, okay.
That's the other thing. When we cast a show now, I want the show to reflect,
which is what happened today,
the variety of the women that I dress.
That's what was so wonderful about this morning, is that it really reflected all the variety of women that wears Michael Kors. That's what's so great.
Around the world.
Yeah.
Around the world.
It's 40 years, but it's just like, well, I know now you're going to do something else amazing. Have you got plans to do something that's going to be, I don't know, you're so smooth with it. That's the thing. You're smooth with it. You never talk it. But is there plans of something that you're working on that's going to be a little injection here and there?
Well, I think, first off, think about the joy of people getting back to live fashion shows with a big audience. And I think we're going to start to see the public being brought into being able to enjoy live
I think
fashion.
they should have always been.
And now more than ever.
That's what I love when I do Fashion for Relief. It's the public that
That's
comes
what,
to see
that
it.
don't you think?
That's what makes
That's
it
what makes
so much fun.
The energy. I mean, even here, with no formal audience, the energy of the street
No,
here.
the street, that was, by the way, I have to say thank you to you for today, because I have always wanted to do a fashion show in Times Square, walking on the runway, the street being my runway. And you made that dream happen today. I've always wanted to do it.
And I always wanted to do it. Of course, I wish it wasn't a pandemic that allowed us to do it.
But I just was like, oh my goodness, I just got to tick off one of my dreams.
No.
That was always one of my dreams. And because when I would first come to New York, I'd always go to Times Square.
Of course.
So I just realized, oh my God, that's something I've always wanted to do. So thank you so much. Very
Thank
grateful.
You. Thank you.
Now, Michael, before we let you go, you also take care of a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
You are very big into God's We Deliver, so much so that they named the building after you. And I've just seen how consistently over the years that you've, every year around, like in the fall, no? October, you would have your events. Now you said to me that you made more in the virtual fundraiser and annual event than you did on. Can you tell us about that?
I have to say, when I look, I think that the thing about an organization like God's Love We Deliver, I remember back in the 80s when the AIDS crisis hit, and I think we all just felt helpless. I mean, everyone was sick, everyone was dying. We lost so many great people, and it was constant. And I kept thinking, there's got to be something that we can do. There's got to be something. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. And back then, the organization was in the basement of a church, Naomi. They were in the basement of a church.
Why? Because they were stigmatized? Why?
No. That was because the church gave them the space for free. They had no money, and they could make these meals and deliver it to people who were sick. Well, the pandemic comes all these years later, and suddenly the need for not just HIV and AIDS, but people with cancer, people with just any serious illness who were homebound during a pandemic. So the needs exploded, and I really felt like a proud father because not only did they step up to it, and to have volunteers coming in to do all this work during the pandemic, unbelievable. And then when we went to do our big fundraiser, I was so nervous because people's lives were so upended. Yeah. I kept thinking, how are we going to raise the money to keep this thing, going at the speed that it needs to go? And everyone stepped up to the plate. And we had this fabulously successful virtual fundraiser that was unbelievable. And it showed me that even when everyone is separated, and there's this sort of, you feel like, did we lose community? We've lost community, this sense of community, but somehow we crave it, and we want to support each other, and everyone just stepped up to the plate. So I was beyond excited.
It's wonderful.
So hopefully next year we're live.
Hopefully
next year we're live.
We will be. Maybe you should run for mayor of New York.
Oh God, too many candidates. That would be crazy.
You still go do talks at FIT and the new school?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. What's interesting, I remember I went to talk to the people at FIT, and I said, you know what? I said, so few of these students get the opportunity to travel and to go to Europe and see a different way of looking at things. So I did an endowment at the school that they get to spend their senior year at FIT in Italy.
That's wonderful.
So they go to Milan, and I have to tell you,
love that.
This year, I always have to pick the student who's going to get this prize for the year. And of course, this year I had to work with them on Zoom, and they all had to explain their work. One of the kids was in his bedroom in Arizona. Another girl was in a tiny studio apartment in Harlem. Another kid was in LA. I mean, they were all over the country. And seeing them still feeling creative, still hungry, still wanting to do it. And I thought, this is so exciting. That even this pandemic and not being able to have community, that these kids are still inspired, still want to get out there.
I feel like that even more so
More
now.
than ever.
Me too. More than ever.
And also when we all can go out and travel and see the world, fashion's going to explode.
I agree with you.
I mean, it's going to explode.
All those ideas of that time is just going
boom. Boom. That's what I think.
Yeah, I'm with you, right with you like that.
And I'm there.
Me too.
In
my flat shoes. No, I'm kidding. Oh, Michael, I can't thank you enough for being on No Filter.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. What an honor. And we got lots more stories, but we'll just give you a little bit. Michael knows. Love you too. Thank you for having me today.
I love you.
Happy 40th anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being there.
Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Kors, an icon and a legend of American style. Wasn't he amazing? And a friend of mine my entire career. Thank you to Michael for being here and a guest on No Filter today. Do not forget to please like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I will see you next week saying, you know what I'm going to say, brown girl out.